What's up guys, Chen here. Welcome to another autofocus episode. We're at Pikes Peak and we're featuring a lot of the race cars. We got Robb Holland here and his Audi. What is this, RS3?
It's an RS3, yeah. Technically it's an S3 though.
Okay.
Because this was the Compass 360 IMSA car like, I don't know, 6 or 7 years ago. We scooped it up, threw a bunch of the TCR bodywork on it. It's all carbon now. And then we've got TCR suspension on it. So it's a TCR car with 500 horsepower up front.
So we actually have quite the history of me photographing you and you just wheeling the absolute out of every car that you drive.
You're like my good luck charm. Can I just carry you around, like just put you in my pocket or something?
Well, it's been such a pleasure to watch you drive in endurance racing, and of course at Pikes Peak, you were competing in a Corvette at one point, right? Mm-hmm. And with endurance racing, you were also competing in an Audi front-wheel drive.
Yeah, the TTRS.
Yeah, and there was the years where you had your trials, tribulations, you had some issues, but then you guys came through at one of my favorite races to shoot, 25 hours at Thunderhill.
Yeah.
So now you're racing this thing. This is all-wheel drive. Tell us.
No, front-wheel drive.
Oh, this is front-wheel drive.
Front-wheel drive.
No way.
So it was an S3. So full all-wheel drive. That's how it ran in IMSA. But then we converted it to front-wheel drive because we set the front-wheel drive record in the TTRS, the one that we won the 25-hour Thunderhill with. Brought it here, set the record. And then 2 years later, Acura brought their full factory effort and took the record from us by 6 seconds. So I was like, well, I can't let that stand. So we came back with this car, stripped it from all-wheel drive down to front-wheel drive, which also put us into the unlimited class where we're kind of outclassed a little bit. But our whole goal is to go for the front-wheel drive record. Last year we missed it by 3 seconds. The upper section was a bit bumpy last year, and so we just couldn't quite get the pace out of it. But this year we're running the new Pirelli Super Soft Slicks, which is going to be awesome. We've done some upgrades. We've got anti-lag system in here. We've taken off a little bit of weight, a little bit better aero, so the car is going to be badass.
What do you think then? Do you think the TT potentially could be faster than this as a front-wheel drive? Originally, like it was originally a front-wheel drive car.
Yeah. So the TT was technically a TTRS. So we ran the 5-cylinder 2.5 liter motor in the TTRS. So technically that should have been an all-wheel drive car too. That was a full-blown factory car from Audi though. So that was developed by Audi in Ingolstadt. We worked with them at the Nürburgring for a number of years. That car is placed in the top 10 overall at the qualifying race for the 24 hours of Nürburgring. So that car was more designed as an endurance car. It never really got optimized for Pikes Peak. So this is kind of the next step in the evolution. So it's not full-blown Pikes Peak car because obviously we've converted from an endurance race car more to Pikes Peak spec. But so we call this car the Sledgehammer. We've got the Sledgehammer 2 coming out next year, which is a full-blown, full aero, going for like just crush everybody. That's going to be the car.
Because you're not the only one going for the front-wheel drive record.
Yeah,
William is
we got
out
William
here. Yeah, he's with his Civic. I think he's going to put in a good effort too. But I'm actually kind of curious to see what you guys are going to do, without a doubt. But you mentioned the Nürburgring. How many laps do you have on the Nürburgring?
Honestly, I really don't know. It's a few thousand for sure. So I mean, I literally.
Okay, I maybe have 5, so oh, no. I have a lot of catching up to do.
Well, dude, we literally lived like literally 400 yards away from the track. If you come on to Dottinger Hole, which is the long straightaway towards the end of the lap, if you go under the Audi gantry, if you were to stop there and hang a left, we're literally 400 yards away from the gantry. So I had a Yaris card every year, which is an annual pass, and it's like a little wish watch thing. And all you do is you roll up to the gate and you go boom, and then you're on, and you just do your laps and come back in. So every day, like after work, I would go in and just be like, yeah, I think I'll do like 8, 9, 10 laps and whatever. And I go do that, and then I go out for a mountain bike ride around the track, and then I come back and do some more laps. So literally, like you could get as many laps as you wanted.
That's living. That's living.
Yeah, it was awesome.
Can we take a look at the car a little bit?
Yeah, for sure.
Okay, so tell us about the motor package here.
Well, right now, this is the 2-liter motor. We'd love to run the 2.5 liter, and I think we're probably for the Sledgehammer 2, we're going to upgrade to that because you can get more power, more torque out of it. But for right now, we've developed this, as a 550 horsepower. It works. It's designed to work at Pikes Peak. It's designed to work at altitude, and that's, I think, the hardest part with anything you run here is that it really has to be specific for the mountain. As you know, you see every year you've got cars that overheat, they break down, the mountain puts so much stress on them. So for us, what we wanted to do was have a package that was well within the parameters of what the motor can put out, because obviously you've seen builds with, these are 600, 700, 800 horsepower. For this, it's more about putting down the power to the ground, because obviously, again, it's front wheel drive. And the other thing is that you just want the reliability. You don't want this car to, end up blowing up halfway up the hill. That doesn't get you the record. It gets you stuck on the side of the hill for the half of the day. So
you're telling me at altitude, at whatever, 13,000 feet, 14,000 feet, this is making 550?
It'll probably make a little bit less than that at the start line at 9,000 feet. And then as you go up, obviously you're going to start losing power. We're running the big Borg Warner turbo on it. It's a great turbo, but no matter how big a turbo you run, there's only so much air. And as you get higher and higher, at 14,000 feet, that thing is just sucking through a straw, and it really is just struggling to make the power. And you can feel that down like on the lower section. I'm getting wheel spin everywhere, and I'm having a short shift to kill the torque. But as you get higher and higher, it becomes a lot easier to drive. But that's because it's making a lot less horsepower. So
yeah. So then, with that said, in terms of like front wheel drive traction, how wide of tires do you actually have to run?
We're running a 285 Pirelli Super Soft. We're running the Super Softs this year. They are going to be the best tire, I think, for the mountain. The issue is in the morning when it's a bit cooler, is that it'll struggle a little bit because it needs that temperature to keep going. So as we kind of go up the hill,
so you do like a fat front wheel drive burnout.
Well, we do the high tech stuff. We actually have a tire warming tent. So we come in with those things coming out of the oven about 200 degrees or so. But the thing is like as soon as they hit the ground, it's 30 degrees out there. So it just sucks all the heat out of the tire. And the hard part is as you're going up the hill, you've got to really kind of work the tire hard to keep it going. So it's a bit difficult, but it'll be worth it once we switched over.
So then, do you run smaller tires in the rear?
No. So we run square all the way around. It's kind of a the front wheel drive trick is that you want to run either smaller tires in the rear or whatever to reduce rear grip. But the thing with this is that Pikes Peak is so different than anything else. And in order to make that really work well, you've got to really trail brake the car hard into the corner and really kind of be like sliding the rear end. And at Pikes Peak, that's really difficult to do because every hairpin is super, super steep. So as you're getting into the corner trying to loosen up, you get tons and tons of front grip, and it becomes really hard to really loosen up that rear that way. So it's, we're running square all the way around. That seems to be the best way to go. And, hopefully for next year, we'll be running probably, I would say 315s or 325s all the way around to get that extra grip.
Wow. In terms of weight loss, from when you got the race car, how much weight were you able to take out from it?
A huge amount. It's probably 400 to 500 pounds additional weight from what the IMSA car was, because obviously when it ran in IMSA, it was more of a stock car. And they don't really allow them to do too much, and they make the car heavier because it was an all-wheel drive car, so they wanted to make sure that it was a slower car. But we've come in and Garrett Carbon has supplied all the carbon for us, so we now have all the carbon doors, everything is carbon, all the carbon panels. And on the car going forward for the Sledgehammer 2, everything is carbon. We've got full carbon roof. Literally everything from the shock towers back is going to be carbon. So we're expecting to pull 700-800 pounds out of the car. So the chassis should be really light.
Wow. Okay, so then the version 2, are you getting a brand new chassis?
It is already built.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, the chassis is already done. We were really trying to get it to come out this year because we wanted to run it before the 100th running next year, just to kind of make sure all the bugs were out. But the Carbon Composite company that was building the pieces also does a lot of stuff for America's Cup yachts. And they were so swamped with that work, we just couldn't get it done in time. And if we're going to bring it out, we want to bring out like the final product. We want a car that's going to run and be competitive. So next year, we are going to bring out the full whammy, and it's going to be shit to beat.
The thing that really kind of blows my mind is this can't be from the factory, right?
That is not from the factory, no.
So then what did you have? Why did you modify it like this?
Well, you want to trim everything you can. So the big thing on a front-wheel drive car, an all-wheel drive car, is you don't want to get front lift. So as the air comes in through the front, it'll try to go up and push up against the bottom of the fender. So what you want to try to do is evacuate all the air possible. So you trim the chassis back, you trim the door back, and that basically helps the air escape and lowers the pressure in each wheel well. So we're doing whatever we can to get front grip, because that's the important thing up the mountain.
So do the rear doors still function?
Oh yeah, they don't open very well because they've got the extra fender back there, so they don't open well, but they do open. So we want, for safety perspective, we want to make sure that you can get everything open, and if we have an issue, that they can get me out as a driver.
So I remember you were kind of having an issue with the Corvette with having the stock steering wheel. How are you able to run the stock steering wheel here?
Because we got the rule changed.
Of course.
With the Corvette.
Course, yeah.
So with the Corvette, they came in and we had that car, and obviously with modern cars, there's a lot of electronics in the steering wheel, and you've got the clock spring in there for the electronic power steering, plus you've got all of the traction control and ABS all works through the steering. But the rules at Pikes Peak at the time said that you have to have a removable steering wheel, and you can't do that clearly with a stock wheel. And we said, look, we get it from a removal standpoint, but because we're running these modern cars now, if you make us remove the steering wheel, it's actually more dangerous, not less. And they accepted that argument. And so going forward, they've changed those rules. So you are allowed to run a stock steering wheel now. So we've kept that in for all the reasons I just mentioned, to make sure that all of the electronics, because these are stock electronics for this car, that they all work together.
But you do remove the airbag then?
Yes, yeah, the airbag is removed, because obviously that doesn't, there's no reason to have that. We've got the full harness, we've got the Han system, we've got all that stuff, which is what the airbag is designed to do to a street car. We don't need that for the race car.
That's kind of the fun thing for me about these modern race cars, is the fact that this is all stock right here. Yeah. So it's the stock transmission?
Stock transmission. It's a DSG box. The thing that we wanted to do is we wanted to go to a sequential gearbox, because from a motorsport perspective, they just perform better. But the problem is we're putting out so much horsepower through the front wheels that there's no real sequential gearbox that can take that. I mean, you saw what happened to William last year. I mean, William was putting in an absolutely stomp and run, and then the gearbox goes, and that's because he's putting so much horsepower through it. And I think one of the things people don't realize about Pikes Peak is that it is so ridiculously bumpy, and it's gotten worse and worse every year. And when you're putting a whole bunch of power through the front wheels and they're trying to steer, you're just putting huge impacts through the gearbox, and eventually that's going to go. But these stock gearboxes are just, I won't call them indestructible because I'll jinx myself, but at the same time, we've had really, really good luck with them surviving high horsepower front wheel drive applications.
Yeah, I mean, we've seen a lot of people use these transmissions for drag racing. Yeah. Right? And with a lot more horsepower. Yeah,
12, 13, 1400 horsepower, and these things just take it all. So, but the biggest thing is it's the horsepower, but for here, it's you've got, a super soft slick, and you're just putting in huge impacts. So you're spinning up the wheel, and then it's all of a sudden stopping and spinning up and stopping. And it's that load through the transmission that really causes the problems.
It's kind of cool. I really like this kind of car because it resembles a street car.
Yeah.
While it is cool also to feature some of these cars here at Pikes Peak that are nothing like the street car.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, and that's what we like about it too. I mean, the guys at Blue Water Performance who built this car, I mean, that's what they are. They're tuners, and that's their thing, is that they wanted a car that was closer to their customer cars as opposed to some one-off prototype or whatever. So yeah, it's worked out really, really well. I mean, and it just goes to show that how far you can push a street car and the level of performance you can get out of it.
Yeah. This is just crazy how light the door is. Yeah. It's so well made, and I absolutely love that it's extended a little bit for rigidity, I'm guessing.
Yep, for rigidity, to make sure that the door doesn't basically flex as the air gets through it. But yeah, I mean, all of this stuff is, I mean, these are all, I mean, literally you could bolt this door, well, other than the cutout, you can literally bolt this door onto a stock car, and it's just massively lighter.
Wait, this has air jacks?
It has air jacks. This is an IMSA car, so we're carrying a bit more weight up the mountain than we'd like to, but at the end of the day, it's great because, like I was saying, we have to keep the tires hot. So we've got a tire tent that we just rotate tires through. So we'll go up, do a run in practice, and when I come back, they'll put the car up in the air, take the tires that I've had on, stick them in the tire tent, and then right before we go out, pull new tires out, throw them on, and then we'll go up and take a run. So that way we're always keeping heat in the tires, because these things, literally, they've got this narrow operating window, and as soon as you drop outside, it's probably like 160 degrees, 170 degrees, like they just stop working well. So you've really got to push to get those tires.
And that's really another thing that a lot of people probably don't realize looking from the outside. The surface is not prepped at all.
No.
It's just, it's unswept.
Yep.
It's just the way it is.
Yeah.
And if there's some gravel or whatever, you know, it's just the way it is. And then you really need every bit of grip you can possibly get.
Well, I mean, you got all of that stuff. I mean, it's a road that's open to the public, you know, basically half of the year. The other half of the year that it's not open to the public, it's under snow. You know, you've got rock slides, you've got animals, and then all of that traffic, just they drop oil and debris and everything as the road goes. I mean, so when you're going up there, yeah, you know, especially when you're taking a load through a corner, you really don't want to have, like, you know, the grip being the thing that you're worried about. So going to the super softs this year, I think is going to be really, really helpful in terms of us, you know, basically looking at retaking the record.
Cool. Well, thank you so much for coming out, bringing this out. Thank you for just talking about your build. I'm looking forward to your Sledgehammer. Is that what you call it? Sledgehammer?
Sledgehammer. So this is Sledgehammer 1. We got Sledgehammer 2.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to Sledgehammer 2.
You and me both.
Yeah, I think that'll be really cool. Thank you so much.
Dude, always good to work with you, and good to see you this year.
Yeah.